So excited. Today we are going over headstand, Shirstasana, the king of asana. So for today's practice, you're going to need a block and a blanket. And if you don't have these things, you can still do the practice, but they will make for an easier practice. Let's get started right away with the chin lock. So place your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, wrap the elbows in, engage your triceps, and actually press the back of your head into the back of your hands. You should feel the cervical spine lengthening. Now gaze down about 45 degrees at a 45-degree angle. Feel the head slowly lifting up off of the spinal column. You should feel a slight bit of fatigue in the triceps. And then gently release and let the head float up on top of the spinal column. Ooh, it's so cool. So this is your chin lock. Most people will lift their chin up when they practice headstands, which can cause compression of the back of the cervical spine. So really, really important. You're going to want a slight tuck of the chin to connect to your Jalandhara Bandha chin lock. And the headstand will strengthen your chin lock over time, which is the connection between throat chakra and brow chakra. These are the sattvic gunas, helping us to process and understand, witness the stagnation as we release it, right? Shiva puts all of the poison of the world in his throat, which is symbolic for how we use throat chakra to purify our mind-body matrix. So moving on now, take your block. This is to kind of correct the hunchback that tends to manifest. And this is generally, I think, part of the reason why people will lift their chin up a little bit is to compensate for the hunchback in their upper spine. So we want a nice straight spine when we practice headstand as much as possible. So take your block and place it right up against the boniest process. So the space kind of just at the nape of the neck, right before you get to the shoulder blades. Block will come the thin and long setting right in between your shoulder blades. And then you'll place both hands on either sides of the space with the most surface area on either side of your block. Elbows will come directly up to the floorboard. And then tuck your toes and walk your feet in, coming into a little bit of a dolphin pose here. Press the back of the heart space into the block, and it should open up the front of the heart a little bit. So this will help to take out that indentation or that hunchback that so many people have when they practice headstand. So I'm kind of setting up the foundation so it's solid. Now as you exit this posture, it is really glorious. If you want to hang out for longer, feel free. Slowly lower the knees back down to the mat, coming back into a dolphin pose. Hold on to the block, especially if it's cord, and release. You don't want to drop the block on your head, that's no fun. So now that we've got that straight spine, or as straight as it's going to get, that's an ongoing process too, right? Let's imprint the arms. So most people turn off their arms when they practice headstand. You want your arms to be solid so that you can delegate how much weight is transferring through the cervical spine. There's this comedian, Nick Swartzen, who's making fun of his neck. He said that it's like a pillow that you get at the airport put on the wrong way. And of course then he goes on to say that there's no machines at the gym that take care of your neck muscles. Well, your body is the perfect gym. And we do have a machine to work your neck muscles. It's called Headstand. So tell Nick Swartzen to watch this video. But anyways, we want to delegate how much weight is going through the neck. So you don't take the little tong and put it at the very bottom of the pile of weights and then go to use your gym equipment. No, you start at the top and you work your way down. So we want our arms to be strong so that we can delegate weight transfer through the cervical spine and slowly build up the cervical spine muscle strength to support. So taking your block, lowest setting, you want it on this setting now. You know, it's very specific with block dimensions. And then you'll place your forearms around the block and squeeze the block with your forearms. This is called adduction. You're adding energy to your central line. Coming into, again, the dolphin pose. This is our template posture for headstand. Tuck your toes, hips lift up and back. That being said too, if you don't want to take your hips up and over your shoulders today, please honor your body and do that. From here, just to imprint adduction, squeeze the block with your forearms. Now see if you can float the block up, coming into your downward facing dog pose. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. All right, lower and release the block. So notice we're slowly getting everything ready, starting from the ground up. Now take your blanket, and you can use a plate or plates if you are working with a rug. Roll your mat up. This is probably some of my favorite core work. You can take multiple rolls if you need. I know that I've only got so much space. Blanket comes behind your mat. And you can take your forearms down onto the mat. Slide the blanket back into your forearm plank. Slide the blanket forward into your dolphin. Slide the blanket back into your forearm plank. Slide it back up and in to your dolphin a couple times. So another way that people dump weight and jump to the bottom of the pile of weights with the tongs before working their way up is they don't engage their core. And so if you're not engaging your core, you're not pulling energy through the midsection, and you're basically dumping a lot more weight than is comfortable and safe, let's be honest, for your cervical spine to handle. So if you're working upright for now, that's okay. Work where you feel comfortable. This is really important. These muscles take some time to come in, so be patient. Now we're taking it up to the wall. So wall is our friend, but of course we don't want to build codependent relationships with walls. So as soon as you start to get confident, start to make your way away from the wall. But for now, let's start with the traditional headstand. Everybody always wants to start with tripod headstand. Start with traditional Shirshasana A. Tripod headstand obviously is still a very powerful posture, and we will go over it today. But notice the hands are not attached. So your foundation has 3 separate points instead of one cohesive unit. And most of the weight, because you can send energy through this bend, but that's inefficient, right? Because it has to go through a right angle. The energy is going straight through the cervical spine, which is putting a little bit too much strain on the cervical spine, especially if you're brand new to headstand. So take your time, learn from your traditional Shirshasana A. So the very crown of the head comes to the mat. Jalandhara Bandha chin lock. This is why Krishna is always depicted with the chin lock, because he's activating his Jalandhara Bandha, his chin lock unit for connecting to throat chakra, brow chakra. You can interlace the fingers, and you can also press the palms together if you want an even more solid foundation. It's a little bit trickier to balance, or palms open up. Pinkies will overlap, making a basket. Wrap the elbows in so that they're practically parallel. It might feel a little bit weird at first, but if you go out here, this is very unstable. Wrap them in and press down to the outer elbow. Press firmly down to the elbow, and then what happens when you press to the elbow is notice that the energy comes at an angle. It's still a straight line, but it comes at an angle. So if the shoulders are hunched, what happens? Tuck and roll. Lift the shoulders up, draw the shoulder blades together, down the back. So here we go. Interlace fingers, very crown of the head comes to the mat, tuck your toes, walk your feet in. And again, if you want to stay here and just learn to build strength in your cervical spine, this is fine. Maybe one heel kicks up towards the sit bone, followed by the other. Navigate hips over shoulders, and then extend the legs up. And don't be too hard on yourself if you aren't navigating into this right away. It takes some time to build intelligent central core strength. Hang out here for as long as you like. The wall's right behind, just in case you need it. And then slowly lower it down, coming into your child's pose. Taking a forward fold to counterbalance. Inversions are natural mood elevators. They send oxygenated blood flow to the dome. They reverse the spinal fluid flow. So you will get a natural high doing them. But honor your body and its limitations. Although we are always expanding, just hang out as long as feels comfortable. All right, so That being said, that's headstand in a nutshell. Well, I wanted to go over really briefly the other variations. So I love how Abraham Hicks says you can't stand on your head enough ways to make someone else happy, right? So make sure that you're doing this for yourself and for your connection to source. You're doing this for all beings because the microcosm projects into the macrocosm. So these are fun because they'll train different muscles in and around your cervical spine to engage. So more muscle recruitment, right? They're like more complex gym equipment to get to different muscles in your cervical spine. Nick Swarton, get on this video, you'll love it. So let's get into, again, the second series of Ashtanga variations. You can bring your hands forward and in front, backs of the hands come to the mat. And then, of course, really concentrate on lifting the shoulders up in this one so you don't hunch the upper spine. Very crown to ground, arms extend forward, palms facing up. Push down through the backs of the hands. Lift the shoulders up, maybe float the feet up. And just notice the slightly different muscle engagements in and around the cervical spine. These are all really fun. I'm going to come into each one individually, and I recommend that you do the same the first go around. Slowly lower, again you can take a child's pose, come to rest. But over time, as you get stronger, it's really fun to practice navigating in between. Alright, so next one. You can bring both of your hands, I call this one the genie, forearms to stack, forward and in front of you. Again, just unique, energetic rooting of your gunning forces. You'll find different muscle engagements. Walk it in. And you can extend one leg up at a time as a little teeter-totter as leverage, but try eventually to bring both legs up at the same time, so a double leg lift. Again, lift the shoulders up, draw the floating ribs together, magnetize sternum and pubic bone towards one another, shoot energy out through the balls of the feet, slowly lower. Super fun. It's kind of like working a puzzle in your own body, so it's kind of fun to try these out. If you do tuck and roll, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure that you don't have a block or some hard object behind you. That's the only time a tuck and roll sucks. It actually kind of feels nice on the spine if you tuck and roll onto your mat or on a rug. All right, so next is, well, let's do the tripod. I wanted to show you the tripod because there is a lot of room to navigate with tripod headstand. And eventually you can lower into arm balances and then press back up again into your tripod, which is a good place to start building divine core work, intelligent central core work. So hands come forward and in front. You're making an equilateral triangle between your hands and your crown. You'll wrap the elbows in. The tendency is for the elbows to splay out wide. Take a picture, make a video of yourself doing it, because everybody splays their elbows out too wide at first. And then you'll catch yourself doing it, you'll catch yourself right-handed, and then it does feel a little awkward at first. You kind of want to visualize you're making an isosceles triangle with your two forearms. So wrap those elbows in, very crown to ground, walk your feet in, and again, hips come back, feet come forward. Notice the counterbalance. So it's kind of like the scales of the Libra, extending the legs straight up, tripod, and just to kind of illustrate, knees will come high up and in, towards the armpits, hips back, knees forward, still working that counterbalance, and then pressing down through your shins. That's where the action happens, not lifting the head up. As you press down through the shins, the head lifts up on its own. Bakasana. And those other arm balances, but for now, we'll slow down with that. And on the descent down too, make sure that you are gently setting the crown of the head onto the ground. There's no kerplunk. Gentle set down. Press the shins into the upper arms. And notice the hips come directly back up and over the shoulders again. Float it up. Tripod headstand. So just to kind of illustrate how tripod headstand can be utilized to build divine masculine central core strength. All right, moving on. Forearms come alongside your head. This one's really fun. It's goofy, but it'll also build strength for forearm balance. So it's also really cool to see how these different inversions and different planes of existence will kind of teach the body lessons that they can then impart to holding space in different planes of their existence. So for instance, you can actually press straight down through the forearms and lift this up into a funky, or into a normal pincha mayurasana, forearm balance. That's how firmly we're pressing down through the arms to delegate weight. Tug the chin, slowly lower. Hips back, feet forward. And gently release it back down. Super fun. Alright, there's a couple more I'll get into really quickly again. You might just want to, I like to call it Wachasana, and see with your eyes first, absorb all this information as food for thought and how you can potentially grow in unique ways in your own practice. I love this next one. It's also really tricky to balance. Your hands will come to your shoulders and your balance between the elbows and the crown of the head. So let's give that one a go. Walk it in, walk it in. I'm squeezing those legs together as though I have a tail as I float it up. Again, firm navel towards spine, kissing towards the heart space. Firm pelvic floor muscles. So your bandhas are connecting energetically root to crown, or should I say crown to roots. They've switched roles. Slowly lower it down. Hips back, feet forward. And gently release. Again, have a lighthearted sense of humor about this. And if your neck starts to talk to you, stop. Stop right away and go into shoulder stand. We will go over shoulder stand right after this last one. This one's tricky. Hopefully I don't fall out of it because this is going on YouTube, so the arms will come out wide. I'm going to kind of be a cheater because normally you do a straight line between the hands. I'm going to give myself a little angle because it's a little bit easier to find the bounce forward and back instead of side to side. So just so I don't fall over on YouTube. Alright, very crown comes to the ground. You'll walk the hands out wide. I like to personally lift one to fingertips, but of course you can flatten the palms and float it up. Super fun. Again, just trying to find the balance. Unique energetic passageways and creating strength in the uppermost chakras so that we can illuminate and understand our stagnation. Slowly lowering it back down again. Ah, super delicious too. You feel, it's interesting because with the compression, all of a sudden when you come back up the spine, it kind of elevates and grows because of the rooting and rebinding forces that just transpire, travel through it. So the king of asana is headstand. The queen of asana is shoulder stand. So this is why they're the king and queen, because all of the asana means nothing if we can't actually connect to the sattvic guna, sound and light elements. The thought forms will just go back into their old arrangements and all of your work is for naught. So this is also why we save shoulder stand for the very end of the practice in most practices, so that you eliminate your retrieval of karmic debris over the past practice, and you're able to understand it and thereby release it, not reintegrate it back into your system. So the headstand creates the masculine aspect of Vishuddha throat chakra, which means purification in Sanskrit. And the shoulder stand will enhance the feminine aspect, at least of the dorsal side of throat chakra, Vishuddha. Again, it doesn't translate to throat, it translates to purification, which is essentially what we're doing. So again, be aware that as you progress, you might start to experience third eye activation and pineal gland might start to excrete dimethyltryptamine during your practice. Right, we're practicing all 8 limbs all at once, so there is that to look forward to, the integration of the multidimensional aspect of self into your physical practice. It's really, really fun. So this is the easiest way to get into shoulder stand. You'll sit next to the wall and then lie down with your bum right up against the wall. So it's kind of like you're seated on the wall now. Now rotate to bring the legs up the wall, coming into your legs up against the wall. Probably one of the most underrated postures in all of yoga. All of the benefits of your inversions, maybe besides the strength generation, but you're sending oxygenated blood flow into the uppermost hemispheres. So you can chill here if you want. And if this is where you're comfortable, you didn't do a lot of headstanding today, that's totally fine. Those of you that did headstand, again, we created some heat. Tapas, heat for purification. activation in the Shuddha throat chakra. So we'll want to balance that out with openness, receptivity, magnetism. Again, if you're going to strengthen and take your neck to the gym, you also want to stretch it out, bending in the knees. Both feet come to the wall, making 2 right angles with your legs. Now press down through the balls of the feet. Slowly roll the spine up, articulating the spine. You can bring your hands to your back, just above the shoulder blades. Wrap the elbows in tight. Keep the gaze directly up so that you're activating Jalandhara Bandha. This pose is also extremely beneficial for your Jalandhara Bandha chin lock. You can start to walk the hands down the back and continue to press the chest towards the chin. Really, really good for the endocrine system. Shoulder stand will also boost your immune system. Maybe extend the legs up, as well as the digestive system, the thyroid, the parathyroid, largely involved in helping to aid our digestion. Also really good for insomnia, helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, opposite fight or flight. Maybe lower the feet down, coming into your Palasana plow pose. Deep breaths. Maybe bend the knees towards your forehead or around your ears, Karnapidasana, ear squeeze pose. If you feel confident, you can release the hands, interlace fingers back behind. Hands will return back to the back. And then slowly, leg lift. You can do leg lifts here too. This is also a great place, food for thought, to learn how to tie your lotus in an inversion. Feet will come back to the wall when you're ready. And then pressing down through the feet, I love this transition because you can actually send a current of energy through the legs and into each and every vertebra. Slowly lower the spine down, articulating each and every vertebra as you lower. Sit bones will lower very last. Oh yes, amazing, amazing. You can stay here and just chill and your legs up against the wall. There is one more counter pose. So there's a counter pose, a counter pose, a counter pose. Yeah, all about balance. This pose is probably one of the most misunderstood postures in yoga because it sometimes just gets written off, but it's really important to also do a little back bend for the cervical spine. So legs can extend out. You can slide your hands, palms down, underneath your butt. Press down through the forearms, lift your chest up, and then just let the head hang back. Notice how the structural stability of the arms and the spine is such that we can concentrate that opening in the thorax or in the cervical spine to open up the front of the Shuddha throat chakra. A little back bend for your throat. And then gently release. Alright, and if you have time, Shavasana, take a little rest and let your body assimilate these transformations that have taken place. Again, I hope that you start making headstand a part of your regular practice, but do honor your cervical spine. Be patient as these little guys come in. And of course, if you do have any neck injuries at all, I would definitely get a inversion table so that you can work your core in that way, and then also decompress the cervical spine. So if it's not a part of your practice, that's okay. Take your time navigating into this space, and eventually you can just chill in headstand for prolonged periods of time. It's amazing. The gurus or sages used to make their followers practice prolonged headstands to experience a DMT trip. Again, the pineal gland would excrete dimethyltryptamine, which is the most powerful hallucinogen known to man. So we are experiencing an urging from our galactic planetary bodies to start reactivating the uppermost chakras, which are high vibratory chakras, by making our upper half of our mind-body matrix the foundation. Right, Uranus just merged, transited into Taurus. So this is huge. It's in Taurus until 2026. So we have plenty of time to reset the foundation, but it's a good idea to start this reconstruction of the divine temple that is the self now. So Enjoy your head standing, shoulder standing practice, and I'll be back next week with more downloads. Namaste.